There is a moment in life where silence becomes louder than applause, where the echo of your own soul rings louder than the noise of the crowd, and you realize mediocrity has had far too much of your time. You start to notice that the voices around you, the ones that told you to be humble, to not want too much, to sit down and wait your turn, they were never interested in your greatness. They were interested in your compliance. They were afraid that if you rose too high, they'd have to face the mirror of their own stillness. There is a word for this condition: psyphoria. It is the spiritual dizziness you feel when your inner self finally wakes up, when the soul stretches its limbs for the first time in years and whispers, "I was not born for this cage." Most people mistake this feeling for anxiety, for restlessness. They sedate it with distractions, pills, shallow pleasures. But you're still here, listening, feeling. That means something inside you refuses to die quietly. And now, finally, the curtain is lifting. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're awakening. And when that awakening starts, it does not come politely. It tears the roof off your life. It shatters the illusions you once called safety. It does not care if you're ready. It only cares that you're real. So this is your line in the sand. Say it out loud. I am not available for average anymore. Not in how I speak. Not in how I think. Not in how I spend my hours on this earth. Because average is not just a state of performance. It's a spiritual disease. It is the slow death of potential. It is the self-imposed ceiling that keeps the lion pacing in a 3-foot cage, never knowing it was born for the savannah. You were never meant to trade your fire for approval. You were never meant to live your life as a diluted version of yourself. Look at the way society trains you. Blend in, be agreeable, don't question too much. They praise humility, but only when it means your silence. They say be kind, but only when your kindness makes you small enough not to threaten the insecure. Let me ask you, when did being average become the moral high ground? You don't owe anyone the parts of you that had to be amputated to make others feel comfortable. You are not here to be acceptable. You are here to be exceptional. That means speaking with conviction even when your voice shakes. That means holding your standards even when it costs you company. That means choosing alignment over approval. And let's be clear, this path is not for the faint of heart. You will lose people. You will outgrow environments. You will feel loneliness that burns like hunger. Because the higher you climb, the thinner the air gets. Fewer people breathe up there. But the ones who do, they are giants. They are the ones who said no to average before you. They are the ones who turned their backs on mediocrity, like a man walks away from a burning building. And the fire behind them didn't scare them. It reminded them that they were alive. This isn't about arrogance. This is about reverence. Reverence for the gift you've been given. Reverence for the one life you get. Reverence for the fact that out of all the possible configurations of atoms in the universe, you ended up you. There will never be another. And you're going to spend that miracle trying to be normal? No, not anymore. Because you've tasted the emptiness of doing what you're supposed to. You've worn the mask, you've played the role, and all it got you was a quiet kind of despair. So you choose truth over comfort now. You choose fire over fog. You choose soul over sleep. This is not the easy road. It is the road of kings and queens who had to slay their own weakness before they ever sat on a throne. But here's the secret most people never tell you. Your real power is not in becoming something new. It's in remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. Remember that kid who dreamed without limits? Who ran toward the impossible because they hadn't yet been told it couldn't be done? That was the real you. And now, after all this time, after all the bruises and betrayals and quiet nights wondering if it's too late, you are still here. You made it. Not unbroken, but unbeaten. And now you rise, with eyes that see through illusion, with a heart that has survived the fire, with a spirit that no longer begs for permission. So when the world comes knocking with its average expectations, its tired scripts, its recycled roles, you don't answer. You're not available. You're out building something sacred, something that bears your fingerprint, your frequency, your fire. You are building you the unedited version. So when someone asks why you stopped returning their calls, why you disappeared from the gossip, why you no longer show up for the rituals of small thinking, tell them the truth. You've gone where the soul leads. And the soul does not negotiate with average. And the soul does not negotiate with average. It doesn't ask for a second opinion. It doesn't hold committee meetings to validate its worth. The soul declares, it chooses, it becomes. When the world tells you to be realistic, understand what they mean. They're not asking you to be wise. They're asking you to conform to their limitations. They're offering you a place in a lineup of lives half lived, dreams half built, truths half spoken. They're offering you a grave before death. And the truly terrifying thing, most people accept it, not because they're weak, but because somewhere along the line, someone convinced them that standing tall would make them a target, that being fully alive would be too much, too loud, too intense. So they tone it down. They shrink. They sand off the edges of their brilliance until they fit neatly into society's coffin of mediocrity, all the while calling it maturity. But what if I told you maturity has nothing to do with shrinking? Maturity is not silence. It's not compromise. It's not politeness at the expense of purpose. True maturity is owning your essence without apology. It's learning how to walk through fire without setting yourself on fire. It's knowing how to be powerful without becoming cruel. Because you can be kind without being soft. You can be still without being stuck. You can be at peace without being passive. This is the paradox of greatness. The stronger you become, the less you need to prove it. The higher you rise, the more grounded you must become. And the more disciplined your boundaries, the more liberated your soul becomes to create, to love, to lead. You see, this world is full of noise, but very few signals. Average people scream the loudest, not because they have something to say, but because they're terrified of being ignored, terrified that if they stop talking, they'll hear the echo of their own emptiness. But silence is where power grows. If you've ever sat alone in your room, staring at the ceiling while the world keeps spinning, and you felt that deep, unshakable knowing that you were made for more, that was not delusion. That was clarity. That was your soul, unfiltered. And that voice inside you, it doesn't care about likes, it doesn't care about trends, it doesn't care how many followers you have or who approves of your light. It only asks one question. Are you aligned? Not comfortable, not accepted, not entertained. Aligned, aligned with your highest vision, aligned with the truth you can feel in your bones but were taught to ignore. Aligned with the version of you that scares even you because it's so powerful, so vivid, so relentless. That version of you, the one you keep glimpsing in flashes, in dreams, in moments of total silence, is not a fantasy. It's your birthright. But to live it, you must break the contract you signed with average. Rip it up. Because average will keep you busy. It will keep you popular. It will keep you fed. But it will starve your soul. It will whisper, you've done enough, when you're just getting started. It will say, this is good money, when your calling could shake nations. It will hand you applause when what you needed was ascension. And here's the cruel trick. Average doesn't show up wearing a sign. It disguises itself as balance, as responsibility, as security. But true responsibility is to your potential. True balance is between your inner fire and outer discipline. And true security is realizing that playing small will never protect you. It will only poison you. So if you're feeling restless right now, good. That means your spirit is still alive. That means your fire is still burning under the ashes of your compromises. that means you're still being called. And that call doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care how much time you wasted. It doesn't care who broke you or who didn't believe in you. The call is simple. Stop being available for average. Because the moment you truly close that door, life rearranges itself. You start attracting challenge instead of comfort, purpose instead of praise, truth instead of validation. And yes, it's harder, but oh my God, it's real. It's real when you wake up and feel aligned with your own breath. When you speak and every word carries weight. When you walk into a room and don't need to say a word because your presence speaks for you. That is not arrogance. That is earned energy. The kind of energy that comes from shedding layers of falsehood, of mediocrity, of pretending to be less than you are. You will not find it in average. You will not find it in the middle. You will not find it in a life built on good enough, because you were built for elevation, and elevation demands separation. Elevation demands separation, not because you're better than others, but because you've finally chosen to be better than your former self. You don't leave the crowd out of disdain. You leave because you've seen what it costs to stay, and you're no longer willing to pay for your comfort with your soul. There comes a point when you stop negotiating your standards just to keep the peace. A moment when you stop picking up calls from people who drain you. A moment when you walk away mid-conversation because the topic is empty and you're done pretending it nourishes you. And that moment is sacred. That's the moment your soul says, this is not my frequency anymore. You begin to notice how average is contagious. You sit in rooms where everyone complains, and suddenly your chest tightens. You scroll through screens where everyone is screaming into the void, and suddenly your mind fogs. You entertain shallow conversations, and your energy collapses like a dying star. It's not snobbery. It's spiritual sensitivity. You can feel the weight of unspoken resentment in people's words. You can sense the resentment they carry toward anyone who chooses to rise because your elevation reminds them of their stagnation. They'll call you distant, cold, self-absorbed, but let them speak, because their opinion was shaped by a world that punishes individuality and rewards conformity, a world that has forgotten how to listen to silence, a world that sells comfort and calls it happiness. But happiness without growth is sedation. And you're not here to be sedated. You're here to evolve. You're here to refine the instrument of your mind until your thoughts cut like blades of clarity. You're here to sculpt your body, not just into something beautiful, but into something disciplined. You're here to transform your pain into poetry, your shadows into wisdom, your solitude into strength. Because average people avoid pain, exceptional people use it. Average people seek distraction, exceptional people seek direction. You've been handed every tool, every trauma, every challenge for a reason not to break you, but to forge you. This isn't a motivational slogan. This is metaphysical law. The universe doesn't give fire to the timid. It gives it to the ones who are willing to be burned by it and still carry it forward. So if your old friends no longer understand you, good. If your past life feels foreign, good. If you feel like a stranger in familiar places, good. You're not lost, you're shedding. Shedding the versions of yourself that made others comfortable but left you starving. And that shedding is violent. Don't let anyone romanticize it. You will cry. You will question your sanity. You will crave the numbness of your former life because pain was at least predictable. But stay the course. Because right beyond that crucifixion of the false self is the resurrection of the real one. And that real you is not average. It never was. It's the you that doesn't shrink in the presence of greatness because it is greatness. It's the you that doesn't explain its boundaries because it embodies them. It's the you that doesn't chase love, praise, or validation because it radiates with such self-possession that the world has no choice but to take notice. Not because you yelled the loudest, But because you became so aligned, so honest, so ruthlessly authentic, that you couldn't be ignored even in silence. That is the power of being unavailable for average. You stop broadcasting your worth, you simply become it. Your decisions speak louder than your words. Your absence becomes more powerful than your presence ever was in the wrong rooms. You become rare. And in a world that worships relevance, rarity is the new rebellion. So choose rarity over popularity. Choose depth over convenience. Choose solitude over small talk. Choose your vision, even when it means walking alone through the desert. Because I promise you, on the other side of that desert, there is a place where the rare ones meet. The architects, the warriors, the poets of purpose. They won't clap for you. They'll nod, quietly, with recognition in their eyes. Because they've seen that same storm you walk through. And they didn't just survive it. They became it. That's who you are now. Not someone waiting to be saved, but someone who became the storm, so they'd never drown in someone else's again. You are no longer available for average, because average never honored your pain. Average never respected your ambition. Average never deserved your loyalty. And now, your life will become the answer to every voice that ever told you to stay small. And now, your life will become the answer to every voice that ever told you to stay small. Because this is not just a decision, it is a declaration. A spiritual severance from everything that once diluted you. A final, uncompromising break from the hypnosis of average. And if you truly feel this in your bones, if your chest tightens when you hear these words because you know they were carved for you, then let this be the moment you never go back. No more explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. No more holding your breath so others can feel comfortable in your presence. No more giving energy to what doesn't multiply your vision. From this moment forward, you walk with different eyes. Not eyes that look outward for permission, but eyes that gaze inward with certainty. The kind of certainty that only comes when you've buried your former self with love and resurrected your real one with fire. You are not here to be accessible to every voice. You are not here to be digestible to every room. You are here to be sovereign, singular, free. You will intimidate some. You will confuse many. But you will attract those who speak your native frequency, the rare few who recognize power without masks, truth without permission, and presence without performance. Let your energy now speak before your mouth does. Let your standards repel the noise before you even hear it. Let your clarity cut through the fog of every room you enter, so there is no doubt, no confusion, no mistake. You are not here for almost. You are not here for just enough. You are not here to audition for roles you've already outgrown. You are here to reign silently, fiercely, unapologetically. So say it now one last time, not as a hope, not as a wish, but as a vow to yourself and to the life that's still waiting for your full arrival. I am not available for average anymore. Not in how I speak, not in how I live, not in how I love, not in how I walk through this world. Every breath from here forward will be carved with purpose. Every move with precision. Every choice with honor. Because you've burned the bridges to mediocrity. And now the only path left is greatness. And this time you're not just ready for it. You are it